Hi, David?
Yeah, hi, Eddie.
Okay, hold on. I'm just going to full screen this. Okay, we can all see you. We can see you on the screen. We can hear you. So please go ahead.
All right, that's great. Okay, right. Well, good evening, everyone. And Eddie, thanks for the opportunity again. So really, I'm here to tell you a little bit about Matchi. And essentially, I'm going to just chat for a little while about the story of the firm. Matchi stands for Matching Innovations, and we think it's kind of catchy. So as the name suggests, we are an innovation matchmaker. And what we do is we seek to connect banks around the world with FinTech firms around the world that have interesting opportunities, interesting products that the banks could license or buy in some other way. So we're not about funding, we're about revenues. We're about helping FinTech companies find revenues, and we're about banks finding FinTech opportunities that will help them be more innovative in the market and grow their own revenues. So a bit about where it came from. I spent about 10 years working in innovation, new ventures, new product development and strategy for a large bank. During that time, I launched a number of products, often in conjunction with an outside firm, an external firm that had developed something really nifty that we could license and bring to market under the bank's name. So fast forward to about late last year, I thought I'd like to try my hand at the startup world myself and to try and really kind of drive some of my own value and benefit directly from being involved in this space, which I really enjoy. And got involved in a couple of startups, but also connected again, or I should say reconnected, with the co-founder of Matchi, who himself has started up a number of FinTech companies and successfully sold them to banks and licensed their software to banks around the world. And what we both realized was that there's this tremendous kind of gap we saw in the market where FinTech firms come up with great stuff. They, in their local market, they run around, use their own contacts and networks near where they stay, and they, with a great deal of effort, end up selling into a bank, a local bank somewhere in their market. But what they really struggle to do after that is to sell to other banks around the world, even though we know that banks around the world face many of the same challenges and many of the same kind of problems. And so there's a lot of benefit that could be derived. Banks themselves are, as we all know, kind of waking up to we need to do something different, we need to do something innovative, and they're responding in a number of ways. So one of the classic ways is that they're building up innovation business units, and they're building up new product teams, and they're spending a lot of time and money flying around the world to conferences where they meet up with innovators on kind of a random basis. So what we want to do is basically make that process more efficient and more transparent for all parties. So, I mean, on the innovator's side, you yourself can say, right, I'm going to go to a conference overseas, and I'm going to meet up with some banks, and again, a very random process. So what we've done is we launched in November last year at Finovate Fall in Singapore. We signed up 10 banks as a result of that, and we really got going properly in January of this year. We currently have 30 banks around the world that are members, and I'll show you more about them in a second. And we're in the process of signing up FinTech firms around the world, probably like 3 or 4 a week at this point. We really do have companies from all around the globe. Essentially, as I say, we've signed up 30 banks from around the world. So we're very strong in Western Europe, UK, Eastern Europe, Russia, South Africa, Israel. So far we've got even Australia. So, I mean, you can see the full list if you visit our website, which is just www.Matchi.biz. Just returning to kind of our members, what we do is we have banks that sign up with 2 kinds of membership. Well, 3 kinds, but typically there's a subscription model for banks where essentially our relationships are with the heads of innovation, heads of new product development or strategy in our member banks, and they sign up either as a normal member, or as a sponsor. So normal members, what we do is we engage with them on a regular basis. We understand what their needs are. We go back and look through the pool of Matchi innovative firms, plus perhaps our other contacts, and we come back to them with information, innovations relevant to what they're looking for, as well as, of course, kind of bringing them, stuff that we think is cool or interesting or new. So in that way, we're trying to be more of a headhunter. So even though Matchi is a platform, we really think of the website as kind of a necessary but not sufficient condition. In other words, the real value is in the relationships and in understanding the client's needs, and we do that really by, interacting with the guys regularly and bringing to them, here's an email with, hey, here's a note about a company that I think you guys should be looking at. On the sponsor bank side, we have one sponsor bank per geographic region. So what this means is sponsor banks are non-compete. So sponsor banks have a deeper relationship, and what they get from that is they get a first viewing rights to any innovations that are logged for about 30 to 90 days. During their first 30 days of when you guys list an innovation on Matchi, the sponsor banks have the first 30 days to review it, and if they're interested, to kind of lock it for their local market so that the other competitors in the local market won't see it, and to engage with the innovator directly. So in this way, they get some kind of competitive advantage in their local market. So, an example would be if we had something on the site and one of our sponsor banks is CaixaBank in Spain. CaixaBank was voted the world's most innovative bank by the BAI 2 years, for 2 years in a row, 2011 and 2013. And they would then lock it, and that they would then prevent BBVA or any of the other banks in Spain from seeing it, and they could sign up a deal with you on the spot. So sponsor banks, as I say, have a deeper relationship. At the moment, we have 3 sponsor banks, one of which is CaixaBank in Spain. The other one is Standard Bank in South Africa, which is the biggest bank in Africa by assets and operates in 19 countries across the continent. And the most recent one is Bank Hapoalim, which is the biggest bank in Israel. Hapoalim is a very interesting one because Israel is a very hot fintech and just innovation market in general. And our relationship with them also includes them referring Israeli fintech startups to us. So we're experiencing quite a good growth in Israeli fintech firms. So that's on the bank side. Back to what you guys are perhaps more interested in. So for innovators like yourselves, we basically divided into kind of 2 big groups. There are real startups and there are more established innovators. So for those, we offer different packages or options, but in both cases, what happens is if you join Matchi, you become a member, you capture some basic information about your innovation that only other banks can see. No innovators can see details of your innovation. You can include attachments and videos and that kind of stuff, but really that's just to create a basic entry that we can use when opening a discussion with our banks. So you join up the established firms. It's an annual subscription fee. That's really aimed at firms that have been in the market for a little while, have funding, and essentially, our annual subscription fee is less than what it would cost to fly to an overseas event. And with that, you then get exposure to all 30 banks for a 12-month period. Recognizing that startups have different challenges, for the startups, we have a model where there's no fee, but there is a percentage commission that we would take on any deal that comes from an introduction that we've made for you. And that is typically 5% of the revenue of a deal for the first 3 years. So it's similar to Kickstarter, I guess, but not quite. So I think that's, in essence, kind of the model. As I say, we're a matchmaker. We're connecting innovators with banks We offer different versions depending on the life stage of an innovator, and different versions for banks, which have different value propositions for them. I think, what's nice, if you see on our website, we've had a couple of nice testimonials. I like this one from one of our very early innovators. So maybe just a few more stories. So recently we just presented 6 innovators to Sberbank in Russia, and they've arranged for introductions and demos from all of those. We've actually taken a firm out of Chicago and we've introduced it to ANZ Bank in Australia and to Standard Bank in South Africa, and in both cases they've met with senior execs and they're moving forward into a pilot stage. We've trying to think of other good stories. We've introduced innovators to banks in India. So at the moment, what you can hear is that, as I say, we're quite strong outside of the US. We'd very much like to pick up our focus in the US. So in the course of this year, we'll be coming to the States and engaging with a lot more bank members and hopefully meeting up a lot more innovators. And we'd really welcome any new innovations that are applicable in the fintech space onto our platform. Our process, if you do go on, is you can check out our site. If you're interested, you can register. We'll do a bit of checking and we'll confirm your registration. After that, you can then upload details of your innovation, or if you like, you can simply email our team and our analysts will upload it for you. We'll come back with comments and questions, and once we feel like we have something that's quite robust and clear for banks to understand the value, we put some of our own commentary on it and then we publish it on the site. And that's basically it. So,
David, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Well, I hope that was useful, and please do check out our site, or Eddie has my email details.